This video is, I guess, a brief polemic. It comes from an email that I wrote to someone. I don't really want to talk about environmentalism or climate change anymore. It's just upsetting, and I try to summarize in this email, so I'm finished with that debate on YouTube. And I'd like to conclude with this note that I wrote. It kind of upsets me that so many Americans are dumb, fat, lazy, complacent, apathetic, fundamentalist fools who will proudly proclaim their beliefs about Noah's Ark and a talking snake named Satan, while rejecting the mountainous peer-reviewed science which undoubtedly proves that civilization is having a negative impact on the ecosystem, i.e., climate change, global warming, pollution. Americans do not care about the truth, period. It's that simple. This is something that I've come to realize. There is no place for truth in our lives. The only thing that matters is convenience. Our motto is, if it brings us convenience and pleasure, it is good. Anything which denies us or detracts from convenience and pleasure is bad, regardless of if it is true or not. On the other hand, I suppose it's okay. Let them deny all they want. These are the same type of people who, if alive a few hundred years ago, would have mocked and scoffed at Galileo when he dared to conclude that the solar system was heliocentric. There have always been and always will be stupid people in the world. It's just unfortunate that the rest of us have to suffer the effect of their inanity and ignorance. Despite all this, I guess I'm okay with it, because they will be directly responsible for the suffering and misery of their own genetic legacy, their children and grandchildren. I just hope they're still alive when their grandchild turns his or her worrying eyes to them and asks, "Why? Why did you do this to our planet, our home? What were you thinking?" See, the children won't deserve it, but you will. So be it. When so many of you buffoons finally do decide to wake up, it will probably be too late. And even then, your pride will probably prevent you from admitting that they were right and we were wrong, won't it? So please, at the expense of your future offspring and mine, keep overeating and overconsuming. Keep driving your Hummer SUVs. Keep producing ungodly amounts of waste and pollution. Keep allowing yourselves to be distracted by your televisions, internet, magazines, and your petty obsession with mediocrity. Keep being good sheep-like Americans. After all, it's the only thing you know how to do. But please, I beg you, for the love of all that is holy and good, when the shit hits the fan, do not forget that there were those of us amongst you who tried to warn you. Do not forget that some of us did care. Do not forget that some of us tried to make a change, but you didn't want to listen. The science is there, if you care to look. This isn't about opinion or politics. Let me repeat that. Your opinion does not matter. Facts are facts. Let those who have ears to listen hear. The rest of you are hopeless, and so will our future be if this continues. But maybe I am wrong. I always leave room for that. Maybe the future will arrive with no consequence. Maybe we environmentalists are over-exaggerating. Only time will tell. If the future comes and it is shown that we were wrong, hopefully I will have the courage and humility to admit my falsehoods. I just ask that you do the same. Perhaps this isn't just about the environment, though. What about our ways of living in general? Are they healthy? If I were to believe everything that I was told to believe by the media, by the government, by the corporations, by advertising, and by the religion of Americanism, then I would have to conclude that the purpose of our lives is to acquire and consume as many material goods as possible. This is the philosophy at the core of Americanism. I possess, therefore I am, or I consume, therefore I am. Or, he who dies with the most toys wins. Everybody seems to believe this, and yet no one really wants to admit it. And if we really don't believe that, then why do we live as if we do? What is the purpose of life? Is there a solid answer to this question? Or do we each just make it up as we go along? Is life whatever we want it to be? If I were to give my best guess, then I would say that the purpose of life is to live as naturally as possible. But what does it mean to live naturally? Is there such a thing as natural? I'm not totally sure, but I do know that there is such a thing as nature, and nature usually knows best. We are, after all, creatures of nature. Taking that into account and assuming that it would be best for us to live naturally, it becomes obvious that the American dream is the most hideous lifestyle on the planet. The way that most of us Americans live is similar to a man who, upon checking into a hotel room, fastidiously redecorates the entire room as if it were going to be his permanent home, only to leave early the next morning. The point is that life is short, too short. Most of us spend our entire lives planning to live our lives. As John Lennon is quoted saying, "Life is what happens to us while we're busy making other plans." To live naturally would be to live in balance, to focus on those things which are actually important in life, not the economy, not politics, not our careers, not money, not material goods, not consumption, but family, love, connection, intimacy, laughter, health, enjoyment, creativity. All the things that we strive to do but have far too little time to. This is nothing new. All the wise men of the world have constantly told us to live for today and to love one another, but we refuse to listen. We would rather live our lives as if we are planning on being here forever. So we continue to view ourselves as individual gods, each of us deserving our own private castles, unaware that we built our castles with sand and the tide is coming in. I don't expect people to change. They never will. I have many of my own problems trying to change. Jesus figured that out the hard way, that people won't change, when they put him up on the cross for having the audacity to suggest that we live naturally, compassionately, and wisely. So what is the point of all of this? I'm not too sure. Maybe one day I can show this to my kid and say, "Don't blame me, I tried."